Hello and welcome to another episode of IV Backed. I am excited to chat with you guys today. It is going to be a pretty wild day as far as Kickstarter goes. I actually wasn't going to. I was considering not doing a show this week because I didn't think much was launching. Just because I was looking at Kickstarter on Sunday or Monday or whenever that was, and I was like, there's not a lot of new stuff. Then I realized I run my show on Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning is when all the Kickstarters launch. Now, I already knew this, but I thought there would be enough from previous weeks that I could just kind of, cover what had come out before and then cover, anything that came out after my show the next week. But that's silly. I want to cover things right when they're hot, right when they're coming out. So just to let you know, we are now going to move the show from the morning to the afternoon. So in the future, I think all IV backed streams will be at 4 p.m. This one obviously is not at 4 p.m., but I already had a haircut scheduled then. So, what are you going to do? But really excited to be here. Thank you guys for joining in. I'm not sick anymore, which is wonderful. Last week was a little bit of a slog. Thank you for sticking with me through that. But really pumped to talk about some of the games that we have that came out. Two in particular. I know there were a lot of really good ones that came out. I'm focusing on two that I thought looked really interesting. But before we get into that, I want to talk about a couple of things. First is our giveaways. We've been doing giveaways for every show that we've done, which is 3 shows a week for the last 4 or 5 weeks. That's a lot of giveaways. We're going to continue that for now. But if there's something that we're giving away or we're not giving away that you want, let us know. We'd love to extend that beyond what we're already doing. And this week's giveaway is for a Kickstarter exclusive edition, I believe. So last week it was for advice on our show. We asked people to comment on our IV Back show, talking about Mosiac and Vengeance Rollin' Right and Chai Tea, and we got so many great comments from people that were giving us good advice. So the main thing we got was timestamps. A lot of people wanted timestamps. Featured guests is another thing that came up, and I really like that idea. I'm definitely interested in doing that. Just talking to people about decisions they made on the Facebook pages, maybe even having other creators or other influencers come and look at pages with me. I think that'd be really fun. People saying maybe try to fit in one smaller, lesser known Kickstarter instead of just covering the big ones. Look at something that people aren't covering, and I like that idea. But yeah, there's a lot of really, really good advice in here. Christina Grease says, make sure you're taking breaks. 3 shows a week sounds exhausting. It's a lot, and it's not really even what my job is, but it's really fun. I think I'm an extrovert. I'm less of an extrovert now than I was when I was a kid or just like a young adult. 2 kids really takes it out of you, let me tell you. But this is fun for me. I get to talk to people that we talk to on Discord all the time, and I tell my wife, like, she's like, why? How are you always talking on Discord? That seems like a lot of work. And I'm like, that's not work. That's the fun part of my job. So I really just love. I would have to look at these Kickstarters anyway for my job. So that I'm doing all right. Other than being sick, I'm doing all right. User requests at the end of the episode, people like that. So all really, really good feedback. Thank you guys so much for doing that. We're going to pick a random person to get a KS exclusive edition. Oh, wait, no, that was game mats. KS Moonrakers game mats for this. Pick a winner. So here we go. Oh my gosh. Christina, you just won. I think Christina got a, maybe she got a Veiled Fate hoodie a few weeks ago. So, Christina, thank you for commenting on how to make our show better. Thank you so much for doing that. Let me know on Discord or on another form of social media, or just email us at moonrakers@iv.studio, and we will get you those mats to go with your game or Veiled Fate hoodie or whatever else you want. I can't remember. But thank you so much. All right. Guys, I got to play Mosiac. I played it with Alex on Friday, Alex from Board Game Co. on Friday, and one of the people that worked at the company, which is obviously Forbidden Games. I was right. I did love it. So it's nice to be validated that I'm not just, making stuff up while I'm doing this stream, because I said I think I'm going to love this game, and I did love it. Now, that's not to say it was a perfect game. I had things where I'm like, I wish this worked slightly different, and I didn't get to finish the game because I had to go do an IV Games Weekly episode. However, I really liked it, and I want to talk about real fast just some things on the page that I think they did well when I got to play the gameplay, and things that I think they could focus even more on and really pump up. So the how to play section is obviously what I'm going to be looking at. Besides the miniatures, which were really cool, they had those built into the 3D. It was Tabletopia. I'm much more a TTS person. Tabletopia really was hard to jump over to after playing so much tabletop sim. I kept on doing hotkeys and stuff that just were not working. Good morning, all. Sorry, guys, for everyone that is just joining. Thank you so much for being here. Felix, Casey, Age of Adam, Christian, hey, Healthy Austin, yeah. Really, really happy you guys are all here watching. Thank you for being here. All right, so gameplay. I talked about their gameplay mode, and it is down here, and how I liked it. It's not a GIF. Obviously, GIFs are more engaging, but sometimes they're a little bit busy and hard to follow. This is really clear. You can do these 8 things, and I talked about how this section, Mosaic, is an action selection game. On your turn, you perform one of 8 actions. This section could be bigger. I still feel that way, but these are the 8 things that you do while you play. You're building, you're learning your technology, you're moving military. You're moving military units. You're increasing your civs population. All of this is exactly how you play, and I love that. Just looking at the page and being like, I have a good idea of what I'm going to be doing on the game. So, full marks. They did a wonderful job of that. I think what I wish there was a little bit more of is like how you're actually getting the resources to do these things, because that's not something that's really covered super well, but it's this action, the work action, and it involves your player board. So what you're doing as an empire is you're really upgrading a player board that allows you to get more resources, and a lot of technologies you're researching will upgrade those things for you. Overall, really solid game. A lot of cool area control mechanics. I went the wonders route. Alex went for a bunch of cities. Technically, I think we both lost to the Forbidden Games guy, and then we didn't quite finish the entire game. Alex would have won in the long run. He had built up more long run scoring, but I think I beat Alex just based on the fact that I had a bunch of wonder points. So it was really fun. All right. So yes, please check out Mosaic. It is still live. Let's see how much longer it has. 15 days. They have a long time to go. Already at $550,000. It deserves it. It's a great game. It did play quickly. We didn't finish it because we had to learn the game. Alex also had to leave, so it wasn't like we just stopped in the middle. We knew we weren't going to be able to finish it when we started, but I really enjoyed it. So that was a blast. All right. So today we're going to be talking about The Witcher, Old World. I'm not a Witcher fan. It's not that I'm not a fan. It's not like I dislike it. I just haven't gotten into it. I haven't watched any of the show. I haven't played any games. Are there books? I think there's books. I haven't done that. So take what I am talking about with a little bit of a grain of salt in light of the fact that I am not familiar with the world. However, I believe that this, just the fact that it says Old World and a little bit of the lore I read, is happening as kind of like a prequel. Like it's before the time of Gwent. Is that his name? Something like that. So, like, the guy that is the main character. And so I got to look at this from the eyes of just a board game fan and not also a Witcher fan. And so if you're worried that you have rose-colored glasses while looking at this as a Witcher fan, I can walk you through it from someone that has no clue what the game is like, or what the lore is like, but just looking at it from a game perspective. Go on board. I have backed one of their games in the past, I believe. I think Valhalla was the first one I backed. They've only made 2 other games. They're in Poland. Those games were also, or at least Valhalla was a dice and card game, which this is. So they definitely have experience with these mechanics. Geralt, thank you. Geralt. One of those. But yeah, I was impressed by this campaign page. And I mean, they obviously had a lot of assets to pull from because this is a very established IP. If you don't know what IP is, it's intellectual property. And it is, just a vast world that they could draw from. But yeah, let's dig in. A non-biased look at this campaign. True. I mean, I'm always biased somehow, but not because I love the IP. So that's fun. Jacob Porter, all based on books. Thank you. I thought it was, but I was wrong. I didn't want to be wrong and just say it's all based on the book series. Thank you, though. I have not read the books either, obviously. Hey, Alex, you missed it. I talked about Mosaic and how it lived up to my excitement on the page, and just the fact, maybe a little fact that I beat you, but I think you would have beat me in the long run had we actually scored everything. Christian, sadly, that was just a preview for It wasn't something we recorded. I do know that Alex is working on his look at Mosaic, and we'll upload it sometime soon. Alex, if you could comment on that, I'd be happy to share that whenever it goes live. Cool. Okay, so right off the bat, this is its first day, I think, and it's at 1.5 million. It is crushing it, and it is, I think, blowing away their expectations. I don't think it should have because of the number of followers this game had before it launched. It was very high, but their stretch goals stopped at like 420,000. So we'll talk about that in a second. It's blowing up. All right, so we talked about Go On Board, how they've only created 3 games, so they have not done a lot of games on Kickstarter. They've done more games outside of Kickstarter, so keep that in mind too. These guys are not brand new to the field. They know what they're doing, in my opinion. 18 backed. I mean, that's more games than they created. It's not a ton. I'm not going to tell you need to go back more games. That's a fine number. I wish it was higher, but it's a fine number. All right. So I always talk about what's at the top, right? And I always say it should be art in some way. This is the exception. This is exactly where this first day gift should be. I think it's perfect. This is how they're converting on all of those people that they got to sign up for the notification of when this goes live, right? So you spend thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars advertising your game just so they click that get notified at launch button, right? That's the whole goal of all that ads, direct people to the Kickstarter page. They want that button to be clicked, and a lot of people click that button. But when you launch, you want to incentivize them to back it right away. There's a lot of reasons for that. You could go into some sales theory of like people making a snap decision. You could go into wanting the game to be hyped on Kickstarter because of how much it's funding. All of those are valid reasons for wanting them to back right away. You're also wanting to reward them because they're your earliest fans. And you've gotten them excited about the game. They've been talking about the game. They've been following along with the game. You want to reward them somehow for being your earliest adopters. So that is why they're at 12,000 backers. It's a mix of their marketing beforehand, the IP of the game itself, which made it very easy to convert on that marketing beforehand. And then finally, they're converting the people that they got to follow the page with this. Some things I love about how they did this. It is not something that is, oh, you weren't here on the first day, you're missing out on content. It's just you got it on the first day, you get it for free. Now, yes, this potentially will make people mad later because they're like, well, I have to spend €8 on that now. But it's also going to go away. This is not going to be on the top of the page tomorrow. It's just going to be gone. That I'll bring it up later because it is on the page somewhere else, but it's on the page somewhere else as an $8 add-on expansion, right? So it's not going to be something that a lot of people are going to know about when they come to the page late. However, it could still make some people mad, but I think most people will recognize that they had to do something to convert people early, and it's not like they'll never be able to get it. They can spend the money to get it. And if they get it, even if they spend $8 on it, I'm sure they will be able to sell it later at a profit if they don't like the game because it is a Kickstarter exclusive and it's not something that anyone can buy after this campaign. So I think it'll hold its value that way. So first day gift, excellent idea. We do pins for Veiled Fate. We did a pin that was $3 to add it on later, or you could take it off your pledge in the pledge manager and it would be a $3 credit toward whatever you wanted. And a lot of people got rid of those pins and a lot of people added them after the first 48 hours. And so I think that's something we'll continue. I think we'll do a Mythic Mischief pin. It's something that I really liked about what we did on our last campaign. So kudos to them for doing this. I think it's something everyone should do that has a certain amount of scale. You don't want to do it too small because then if you only have 100 backers your first day, then you have to make something special that's added cost for just those 100 backers. And so, and those might be people that backed anyway. So I think at a certain scale, this is something that is a no-brainer. You got to do it. But pins are very cheap. If you want to do something, if you're a small publisher or if you're looking at a small publisher who's about to launch a campaign and you want to tell them to do something like this, a pin is like 60 cents and it really doesn't matter on the scale all that much versus a mini that's going to need a mold and it's going to need all this stuff. So I've talked about this for too long, but I think you get what I'm saying. Cool. Paul, I think a 24-hour bonus is something to consider with the 1.5 million mark. I myself have not made my mind up as to whether I'm going to commit to the campaign in the end. Yeah, Paul, I do think that it does artificially boost things sometimes. Like people will back day one and then they might cancel later on. I actually don't think that's a bad thing. Obviously, it's a little bit of a sad moment when it's like, oh, we're getting cancellations from people that back day one just to get that thing. But it's also, once it's kind of like this inertia thing, right? Like once you're there, it's going to be harder to go unback it than it will be to just leave it. And then also it boosts that initial day funding, and everyone's getting hyped and everyone's saying, oh my gosh, everyone's backing this. I got to back this. So I think there's some good things, even if they do end up canceling later on. Yeah. Kevin's talking about Mosaic again. It is, if you get, it's on Tabletopia. Like, go play it. Like, it's great. Tabletopia, is that the right one? I think so. Yeah. Yep, Jacob going the other side of the coin on this. I was really bummed with the Uprising and the fact that the 48-hour bonus was there, and I didn't find the game until afterwards, and it was a $10 add-on. Precisely. Like, it's a two-sided coin, right? It's a good reward, but it also can be kind of a letdown if you're one of the late people. So totally there with you. That's why you take it off the page right away. It's a little bit of smoke and mirrors, but I mean, you don't want it to be the number one thing people see, especially if it's no longer available. I think for Veiled Fate, we pushed it way down the page and made sure to say that it was available. $3 is a little bit different than €8, but I don't think this was a bad idea. I think it was excellent. So, cool. Oh, Jason, we'll talk about painted minis in a hot second. Yeah. Thomas, we don't yet. That will be when we start doing our social media pushes, which all comes next month. June is the kickoff month for Mythic's marketing campaign. Cool. Kevin's confirmed that it is Tabletopia for Mosaic. All right, keep on moving on this page. I love to see a little bit of art. They do have that art. It's very vague back here, and then they have a little bit of the story lore. The Witcher Old World is an action-packed adventure game, full immersive choices and exciting fresh mechanics. There's a free expansion that makes it cooperative or solo mode. I wish this had a little bit of lore in it, because it's a good place for it, because a lot of the people coming to this page are just fans of The Witcher, right? Like, yes, board gamers are here. I'm not saying that it's more than it's definitely mostly board gamers that also like The Witcher, but like, you got to give them a little bit of grounding of like, where are we at? And however, if you watch the video, there was that, and so that's good. But I don't watch the videos most of the time, and I think most people don't watch the videos that are Kickstarter vets. Maybe I'm wrong. Do you watch the videos? I want to hear this. Do you watch the Kickstarter video right when you get to the Kickstarter page? Okay. Good information. 14 plus. Woo! You guys, there's this weird thing where people do 13 or 14 plus. It's all just a manufacturing codes rule thing, and we've been told to do 14 plus, but other people do 13 plus, and I think it's odd that the industry hasn't had like a standard thing that everybody does yet. But anyway, it's funny. All right, continuing on. I like this header. I think it's a great header. I think it gives a good idea of the scope of the game. It jumps right into pledge levels. I don't hate this and I don't love it. I think that it's good sometimes to give people like a grounding of, all right, this is what you're looking at. And now with those two price points in mind, this is the differences between the pledges. So like, I don't think it's a bad place for it, but you guys know that I prefer gameplay over this type of information. So I would have done gameplay higher, but on a game like this, and this is something that me and Alex have talked about in the past too, like miniatures sell on games like this. And so when you have a game with a lot of miniatures, you want to promote them early, and they're trying to push what's the difference between standard and deluxe before they get into the miniatures, so you understand what you're buying, what you're upgrading for. And they have done a wonderful job converting on these upgraded pledge tier, this deluxe box, because it's 1,000 backers at the standard box and 8,200 backers at the deluxe box. So I think that their plan is working as far as kind of, setting the stage for what you can expect. I think that this graphic is a little confusing. I was like, okay, so 5 sets of player components is in which pledge? Okay, that's probably in both pledges, but why does it have a box around it? The only thing that is in this deluxe pledge here is this 15 monster miniatures. That's like the main thing that is the difference, which I get. Like the monster miniatures are huge. They're awesome. There's a ton of stretch goals that relate to the deluxe pledge, and we'll talk about that in a second too. But I think that this graphic was kind of like a confusing thing for me, and then they instantly fixed it for me, actually. So I was kind of like, oh, I'm going to kind of talk about that as kind of a downer, and then they fix it right here with this content page. Before we jump into the content page, they have available in 7 language versions. This is always scary to me. Usually I'm looking for partners that can help execute that can manufacture that, to help carry the load on that. But then all you have to do to know I'm not concerned about that is to go back up and look at $1.5 million. $1.5 million and that many different backers from that many different places, they're not going to have a problem doing this. If this was a small campaign and they said 7 languages, I would be freaking out right now. They're not going to have a problem with it, especially because they're in Poland. They're exposed to a bunch of different languages. They're used to replicating it in a bunch of different markets. Heck, they probably speak more than one language pretty fluently. It's very different from me in America saying, yeah, I'm going to do a game in Polish versus them saying, I'm going to do a game in English. And if you didn't catch that, I'm saying they're going to be way better at that than I'm going to be at that. All right, continuing on. All right, so this section is what you want if your game has miniatures. So the base game has these 5 miniatures. All right. They have really nice, intricate details that are put on display here, and then they talk about what comes in each character's kind of repertoire, what their player board and cards and stuff kind of looks like. It has their artwork and then their mini, and it kind of shows off those comparisons, and I think they did a really good job on this. I think this is a compelling section. And then the monsters. There's a heck ton of monsters there. That's a lot, and they have some really big ones like this Eagle Griffith or this, what is that actually? A griffin. Okay, sorry. A Leshen. It kind of looks like Agamar's helmet. I love it. All right, so it's like an ent meets an antelope. Anyway, I'm sure it has something to do with the lore from the movies and books, movies, TV show, and books. I don't know about this world. I think that these other monster miniatures could have been bigger, but also they're going to take up the entire page if they did that. So it's not a terrible decision to make some of them bigger, some of them smaller. But you can obviously see there's a lot of plastic and a lot of content in this game. And I think they've shown that off fairly well. It continues to go on to show cards and some dice. Witcher poker dice. All right, so what do I love about this section? Why did it stand out to me as different? I'm going to tell you. They've got the art, they've got the miniatures, they've got the components, and then they have measurements. They have call outs on details. So this is something that's missing, not just from like explanation of the game sections or like the component sections, but it's just missing from pages in general. Like it's just not on the page at all. Like right away, I see that this is a 2-layer board, which is important because I'm going to be moving these little cubes around on this board. And if I'm going to be moving stuff and slotting stuff and I bump my playmat, like it's going to go everywhere. Like 2-layer boards are standard for Kickstarters, in my opinion now. Like you just need to have it. And I think they did a really good job of showing the scale of this game and also calling out details, right? Even the cards have their they're like manufacturing paperweight mass like measurements. It's like a bizarre measurement for anyone that's not really deep into the industry. But I really like that they have it because it just like, if they're saying it, it must mean it's high quality. And that's not necessarily true, but it's kind of like a smoke and mirrors thing. Like they're confident in this product. They're telling you all the measurements. They're telling you what it's made out of. And I think it's a really good call. I think it's a really cool way to do it. And that's something that we're going to try to do, I think, in our next how to play section or our next what's in the box section. So yeah. Paul J, I agree the graphics confusing. Checkbox is showing which content needs to pledge. Yeah, it was. And I think they do fix it a little bit later, but I agree. I gotta look at comments. Cool. Yeah, we're gonna keep going. What is a centimeter exactly? I have no idea. All right. Actually, I've been forced to learn metric system because of board game manufacturing. All right, coming down this section, you got gold tokens. I don't think there's going to be metal coins. I didn't see anything about metal coins anywhere. I don't even know if there's an upgrade for that. You got 10 Witcher poker dice. They're just dice. I mean, they're in colors that have to do with the game, but I don't think they're anything special beyond that. But it does tell you they're 16 millimeter, which is a standard dice size you've seen in most games. Location token and tavern tokens. They're just talking about the thickness on those. 1.5 millimeters, not exceptionally thick, but it's definitely not thin either. And then I really like this. They've got this big and detailed game board with like a call out. And I think they did a really good job on giving you some of the details of the game board, because game boards are really hard to show if they're big on a Kickstarter page, because you're reduced to this like long, skinny content block that you have to show. So I'm actually really glad they did a zoom in on this to give you some of the details that are on the board. So I think this was overall a really great section. Yeah, they don't show the size of the miniatures. That's a good comment. Let's go back up and see if they do that anywhere. You're right. I don't see that anywhere. I wonder if they'll call that out in another section. I'll look for that. Thanks, Sebastian. Alex has a call. He has a prediction. 12,000 people now, 40,000 by the end of the campaign. There will be an add-on for metal coins and a play mount. It's printing money. They'd be crazy not to. I completely agree. Once you've hit this scale, even if like 5% of the people bought the metal coins, it would cover your molding costs. Like metal molding is not as expensive as plastic molding is. And coin design, like a 3D modeler can rack up a coin design in no time flat. It's much easier than a miniature, which they have a ton of. I would be surprised as well if there's not a metal coin expansion for this, especially because isn't there like a whole throw a coin at your witch person thing? I intentionally messed that up for you fans of Witcher. Like it needs metal coins in my opinion. So yes. All right. The Aridin miniature has a size listed, gives you some scale. Paul, let's go up and check that out. 7 centimeters. So that's pretty big. It's pretty tall. So yeah, that does give us a nice scale. All right. Included for free in every pledge is a solo and co-op expansion called The Witcher Old World Wild Hunt. I think that was an excellent idea for a game like this. It's a bigger game, and so having a solo mode is going to definitely help their sales. And then people like to play co-op. I mean, people don't want to kill their family members while they're playing games. Sometimes they want to work on something together. So I think this is great if it's possible to do. I mean, they definitely have the money to invest in the design, the game design side of it. So I think that's great. It says that you get it for free only with your Kickstarter order. I wonder if they're going to sell it as a separate expansion after the Kickstarter for an additional amount of money. All right. This is why I wanted you to remember that initial mounted Aridin miniature, because here it is. And this is what I imagine it will be long-term on the page. I do think Alex is right that they will show up. Alex, I know it wasn't what I said, but I'm trying to nail home that I have not read, played, or watched anything in this universe. Not a single thing. I just know the throw a coin to your Witcher thing from social media. All right. Never been so disappointed in me. Where are we? Okay. I think Alex is right. I think we'll see some more add-ons things get added here. Maybe the coins, maybe a mat. All right. So, this white box usually means I need to reload the page. So we're going to do that because there's something there. I think they might have been changing the page live. There we go. This page was missing. Okay. So, gameplay. There's a gameplay section here, and it's just a video. Don't get me wrong. I love a video. Gameplay section with the video is really important. I just wish there was gameplay mechanics right there as well, like more of a section talking about how the game is actually played, because I don't have time to watch a hour and 51-minute video right now, right? Like, I'm not going to do that right now. But I will look at like a gift section. And so I just wish they were together. I do think it's a really good idea to have this. I'm not knocking them for having that. And then stretch goals are really important, especially on a campaign like this. Like they're wanting those higher. I just kind of wish these were switched, and we'll talk about that too in just a second. All right. Stretch goals. Lot of Wild Hunt stretch goals. And then a lot of Kickstarter exclusive version, or not exclusive version, I'm sorry, deluxe version upgrades. So you've got lots of things that are just for that deluxe version. You'll see the deluxe only text on a bunch of these. Okay, they've added a bunch of stretch goals since I looked at it last. So that's probably why the page hadn't updated. So I'm not quite as prepared to talk about this as I would like. But when I had looked last, they had only reached this 490K one, and they were at 1.3 million, I think, when I looked at it. So I don't think they were expecting it to blow up quite this much. I think that might have helped them that they didn't have all these stretch goals listed, because they could probably have added some gaps in between the stretch goal times. It doesn't look like they did that, if I had to guess, just because it's kind of continuing at the same clip as it was before, which is between 40 and 50K. It's actually going a little faster in some places in between these two. That's 30K. But honestly, they could have just pushed this all out, like had one every $100,000 and then started again at 1.5 million. And they didn't do that. So they're sticking to what their original plan was, I think, and they're just unlocking things as they go. They're still only on 865K. I wonder if they'll push things out a little bit. Because I mean, stretch goals are really smoke and mirrors in most cases, especially in a big campaign like this. Like a lot of things were already planned to be included. Yes, there's a scale that they reach where it makes things cheaper and they can include more in the game. I'm not saying it's all smoke and mirrors, but I think they could push these out to be bigger stretch goals on more content versus coming up with more stretch goals for later pledge levels. Hope that made sense. Kevin, I find it weird that the plastic tokens are deluxe exclusive. They should have included them from the start in the deluxe version instead of putting them in an exclusive stretch goal for the deluxe version. Yeah, I mean, that's the smoke and mirrors thing where it's probably planned from the beginning, if I had to guess, and they just assumed they were going to hit that level, and so they put it in as a stretch goal. And that's just kind of how it is at on stretch goals on big campaigns like this. But yeah. All right. I'm here until Zach zooms me. Oh, right. I have a meeting right now that I'm not going to make it to. Sorry, Kung Fu. We'll talk after. Okay. Continuing down the page. So I've talked about some things about this page that I really liked. And for me, that was this section. And that was kind of like the magic for me. And then the magic comes back for me in this section, kind of. This is just a setting the stage, right? I wish there's a little bit this at the very top of the page where it's like, this is where we're at. This is where we're at in the universe. But this is a really good, it has a little bit of artwork, which is nice. It breaks it up, but it's a really good set of, we're way before Geralt. You guys are going to have to yell at me later for that. But it sets the stage that we're before all of that and monsters are everybody and we need to help out. Then it has this lovely game mechanics section, which I wish was higher on the page, but is where I backed the game. And I actually slacked Zach and I was like, do you like The Witcher? I can't remember. And he was like, yes. And I was like, cool. This is like a dice deck building and you're on a map game. He said, back it. That's all Zach needed was the mechanics and the name of the place. And so I think that that's something that like more people care about and should be more featured on pages. Not to say this isn't featured, but this is a beautiful example of a game mechanics section. Cool. Become a Witcher. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like it's a good thing. Train like a Witcher, so you're upgrading your character as you go, it looks like, which I like. Choose one of 5 Witchers, each with a different deck of cards and a unique specialty. Travel, prepare magical potions, develop your abilities, play dice poker, and master sophisticated combat techniques. I think dice poker is like Yahtzee. You'd seen that in things like Dice Throne. So that's a compelling mechanic. I like that mechanic a lot. And then, of course, build your deck. I'm a deck builder. I love deck building. This is a great combination for me. I have not played a deck builder combo with a dice poker game before. I gotta nail that. Brawl with Witchers and Trail Monsters. Brawl with other Witchers. So there's some PvP in there, which is nice. But these gift sections mixed with these text sections, I think are really compelling and really nice. They're pulling graphics from the video above. I love this. I want that video to be broken out into its various variable sections and then pasted throughout the page as gifts. I think that's a very good economic use of the money you've invested in that initial video. That initial video was very good. It had a very nice set. They know what they're doing as far as making content like that. They did a great job. Yeah, it's pronounced Gogurt is what Dane has said on how to pronounce Geralt's name. Review section. Hey, Alex, look, it's you. Witcher blew me out of the water. Simple gameplay, rewarding choices, true to the IP. Why is this not higher? Like, it's a quote block. It's not a review. It's not a review video. You click on it and it takes you to a review video. But like, this should be higher. Like, put a quote block higher on the page and then have the whole video be in the preview section. It's really a preview section. They've called it reviews, but that's fine. Like, this is an amazing quote. I want it to be higher because, and I'll talk about why. Because like, if I get to this part in the page, which I did, because I'm looking at it to talk about on the show, great. Now, like, I feel even better at my choice to back, right? Because if I've gotten this far in the page, I'm probably backing and I want to know everything about it, or I'm really trying to figure out my decision. But what happens if I'm trying to figure out my decision and I never make it to gameplay and I just get to these stretch goals? And I was considering backing the $70 standard box, and I get to these stretch goals, and all the stretch goals are really focused on the solo version, which everybody gets, or the chaos or the deluxe edition. Well, I might have chosen here to stop looking at the page, been like, I don't want to invest, that much money because I was already looking at the standard box and it just looks like I'm missing out on a lot of content. Well, had I seen Alex's quote above that, that is a huge point. Maybe it's because I like Alex's show, but that's a huge point in this game's favor that if I wasn't considering doing the deluxe edition, now I might be, right? It's just, I feel like they're missing some external verification higher on the page. It is wonderful external verification. They did a great job of getting all these different people. They have Before You Play, they've got Board Game Co., got Geek Factor. Like, these are great quotes. These are great people. I just wish it was spread out. These could be spread out all across the page, and then they could have their previews actually here. I do think this is a good way to do it with like the clickable link to go take you to the video. All right, quality and delivery. We got a shipping section. Shipping must just be different. It just has to be different for. Sorry, that just has to be different for people that are already inside the EU, because I don't understand how they could not charge additional VAT in the pledge manager. So there just has to be something different between EU publishers, which kind of makes sense. I mean, they're a company based in the EU, but then they also have to like go in between all their different countries. I don't understand that. They do have to fulfill to the UK though, and I know they will pay VAT on fulfilling to the UK. So it's interesting that the UK people are basically getting a 20% off of $125 or $150 discount. 20% of $150, which is $30, I believe. Yes. They're getting a $30 discount on this game if they're not having to pay VAT, because that's what they would normally have to be charged. And that's what the company is eating to do that. So I think it's interesting that they don't charge VAT for countries where they would need to pay it. The shipping section is informational, which is good. It's not especially beautiful, but I mean, who needs their shipping graphic to be beautiful? It's informative. They could have done more art and it would have been nicer. But I think this is really odd. We don't charge additional VAT costs in the pledge manager. It has to be different. That's just what I'm going to write it down to. It's just different for EU companies versus US companies, because we could not, I'm not even sure we could legally do that versus just it being a good idea. Yeah. All right, they have a schedule, and it's hilarious that this schedule. How did they get rid of it? All right, this schedule is 4 bullet points long, and it is more informative than almost every really beautifully designed schedule I've seen on a AAA game. It just is. The Kickstarter ends June 2021. June 21 to October 2021, final pre-production and development. November 2021 to May 2022, game production and transportation. June 22, shipping to backers. So it's a year-long process. Most of like the AAA games schedules that I've looked at start in this June 22 or maybe at the end of May 22 section, where it's just like, yeah, once the game's done, we'll ship it to you, and this is the schedule for shipping. Like, it's just not informative. So like, while this is not a good schedule section, and the fact that it's not designed and it's not beautiful and it doesn't actually have that many different touch points, I actually have an idea of what's going on in all these months. So I actually prefer this over a lot of the design ones I've seen, which is pretty hilarious. But yeah, overall, I'm excited to play it. I'm going to go play it with Zach so he can tell me what the heck's going on. But I mean, from what I understand, you're just a person with some special powers and you go around killing monsters, and there's nothing that's not fun about that. That just sounds fun. And especially because it's got deck building, but you're also moving around a map. I like those things. I think that'll be a really good game experience for me. Overall, really like it. I saw a few questions coming up about the stretch goals. Yeah, I think I am not able to break down the stretch goals individually versus someone that knows more about the world and knows if they're like pulling lore in with the stretch goals and other things. And plus, I'm just not really an expert on stretch goals. We don't do stretch goals. I don't have a lot of experience with running stretch goals. So I can give you my opinion, but I wouldn't be able to give you an expert look at that, especially because their funding goal has made it to where they're not going to kill their profit margin by adding a mini. They're just not. They've hit a scale to where they can afford to do those things pretty easily. So yeah, I'm not too worried about them. Man, I have spent 40 minutes just talking about this one campaign. Mercy, mercy, mercy. All right. All right. EU companies just charge a cost with that bundled into every pledge and get the refund for copies shipped to the Unit S. Interesting. I need to talk to one of my EU friends that does this because I'm just really confused at that whole process. But good for them. They might be the only people that can really sell in the EU. Just because it's so hard to advertise in the EU when the people are paying $20 to $30 more per pledge. Yeah. Cool. Hey Chuck, I agree. Yeah, I think having the quote sections spliced throughout would have been better, for sure. All right, cool. We're gonna talk about Robot Quest. Start in the middle of the page. It's always fun. Robot Quest. I'm excited about this one. It has been something our Discord has been talking about a little bit for a while. It's obviously not got the same coverage in press and excitement level that The Witcher had. It's still south of $100,000, but it's first day. This is its very first day. $75,000 on the first day is great. They should be very happy with that so far, and I think it's only going to go up from there. I don't normally watch videos. You should watch this video. It's cute. It's an actual video versus just like TTS walkthroughs. So it's got some cool stuff. I really like this video. I think it's one worth watching. I know I don't normally talk about videos at the top, but this one they invested time and money into. All right. An arena battle game with awesome robot minis from the creators of Star Realms. Upgrade your bot, maneuver, and blast your opponents. From the creator of Star Realms is an excellent call out. They definitely need that to be there. I think it's very important for drawing people in because almost anyone that's played deck builders has played Star Realms, right? So it's just a very good verification of we are good designers. The song in the video is amazing. I think that was custom made for the campaign. I saw a credit in the bottom for a song creation credit, so we'll look at that at the bottom. This is actually something I think they should have pushed more. And let's talk about Robert Daugherty here. So or Doherty. Sorry, Robert. I think I messed up your last name. Robert has backed 73 and created 12. His 12 created are great games that you've definitely heard of. Mostly his Hero Realms and Star Realms, but he was also a part of, I believe it is Ascension. Let me check though, that he's not credited on here for. Yes, Ascension. So this guy knows what he's doing, right? Like he is no stranger to making games, and he is definitely not a stranger to making deck builders. 73 backed is great. Thanks, Robert, for supporting the community. And they started off with their main moneymaker here, which is these 4 cute pre-painted robot miniatures. Pre-painted miniatures is hard to do. I think one of the only other pre-painted campaigns I've seen recently was not even a campaign. It was just something included in the box was Tapestry had the pre-painted like pieces, the town pieces. It's just really expensive to do. And then it's also hard to quality control. So you have to work with a manufacturer that really knows what they're doing to make it look great. Everything I've seen on the page makes me think that they did a great job on these. It's hard to know whether it was a custom paint job versus the actual manufacturing process, but the miniatures themselves look great. And I actually think the base cost of the game should probably be a little higher, but we'll talk about that in a section. In a later section. All right, so right away we have this welcome to Rivet, which is the world that they are in, or sorry, the city that they are in. People and robots work together, and they have all these different districts, and it's fun because they're creating this backstory. Like I'm Ryan, my little friend Pug, and I are from Amber, which is a section of this map. It's this bottom section right here, and so they have this little world building. It feels very much like Pokemon on Game Boy when I was a kid. It has like these fun characters with their little pets, and it just has like this map. It's like nostalgic for me. It's a very different intro section than almost any other page I've looked at. And I think that that's a good thing. They're changing it up a little bit. It's a little bit busy would be my only complaint, but I think the nostalgia of it makes up for that with the kind of introduction of the different characters and their robots. And you got Pug, Crate, Petrie, and Strider. And they even get into a little bit of their gameplay style. Crate is tough. Strider's advanced laser eye. Petrie is an aggressive robot. Like they kind of talk about what they are good at, and I think that's just really good lore building from the beginning. So I really like the top of this page. We'll see you in the arena. I think this looks like an ad. I hope they have this as an ad somewhere because this is a cool little graphic. It's got the characters in the background. It's got robots. It's got this little world and this little cityscape. The box is really cool. I think the box art is compelling. And then we get right into gameplay. Oh my gosh, I love this page. Like they instantly get in there, and the gameplay unique. This gameplay section is completely unique. I've never seen anything like it. It's like a comic book illustrated version of gameplay. Like none of this, except for the cards, is what actual gameplay looks like. It's back into this like very cool artistic style, like to the point where like they have the one robot hitting the other robot, and you're losing a health cube, and this like health cube is like flying out of this robot after it gets hit. Like it's all stylized, but it's really fun. So yeah, I think it's really neat. Robin Rising says, "Come on, animated collection." I backed that as well. I wish I'd been doing the show when that came out because that was an interesting campaign. Age of Adam says it's a rap that talks about the mechanics of the game. Hey, Zach's here. Zach said, "Nice hoodie, looks fresh, Austin. Looking fresh, Austin. Thanks, man. I stole it from the office." Nice. Okay, keep on going. When a robot when a robot loses its last health cube, take it off the board. When I got to here, I was like, oh no, there's permadeath. Then it said it will respawn at full health on its next turn, so no one is ever out of the action. I was like, a lightweight, like lighthearted game with permadeath. That's awful. And then it instantly was like, and then you come back and your robot's fine. I was like, I don't want one of these cute robots to die. So I'm just happy that they instantly are like, don't worry, it's back. So that made me laugh. It's a victory point win condition, not a killing everyone else condition for winning. So I like that a lot. This section's so cute, so neat. All right. Reward tiers, $49 basic tech tier, high tech tier, $89. Okay, so this will be my only really complaint about this entire page. And the complaint is that they're not charging enough money. So if the creator sees it, they're going to be like, is that a complaint for us? Because that tells people they should go back it, right? Like this basic tech tier, it's hard. So from what I can tell, what you are getting for the $89 tier is 3 new minis. You're getting 3 new minis. One of them is Kickstarter exclusive. And all of the stuff that this mini needs to play the game. So there's cards and cubes and things like that. We'll go back into the details of what comes with them. But it's a $40 price difference between those. And there's 4 minis in the base tier. So I think there's a little bit of like a pricing perception. I'm not saying they've mispriced it. I think there's just a perception problem of, is it worth the extra $40 to jump up to this next tier level? And that's all I'll say about that. I think this could have been $55 or even $59, and it wouldn't have been a huge difference in perception of the cost. And then the high tech tier would have been a little bit, it would have been $35 or $30 difference instead of $40 difference for 3 more minis. So, all right. So I really like, I mean, I 100% think you should bag at $49. I think that's a great deal. And then the Kickstarter exclusive nature of this spot makes me think I will probably either add it as an add-on in the pledge manager, or if that's not an option, jump up to this high tech tier, because we're currently at the basic tier, but I think I will either jump up in the pledge manager, the high tech tier, or add this mini here. All right. So what's in the box? Tons of cards, a big battle board, your 4 main characters here, and then their boards. And then this is where I think they've kind of saved the conversion for me, because they're doing a good job converting. They're 41 backers at $49 and 388 backers at $89. That is a huge, they're really doing a good job on converting up to that higher tier, right? And I think they saved it here. And it's because they do such a dang good job about talking about what you're missing out on if you don't go up to this next pledge level. Like I pledged above, like I pledged after the gameplay section. And so had I pledged after this section, I probably would have just jumped right into the high tech tier, because I think they did such a good job on this section. I'll go back and change it after the pledge level, because I'm just convincing myself as we're talking that I'm going to go up to the $90 pledge level. But they talk about there's 3 reasons why I really like this section. It's the art. They're showing off the art and the mini, and those look really good together. It's the extra components. So you're not just getting a mini, it's extra components. But then they talk about what that person is good at. And I love this. It's like brand new mechanics they're adding into the game with each expansion. Jaws is really good at upgrading. He has an upgrade mechanic that makes him better as you play. Kettle is a really good defensive player. It has new defensive mechanic. Dozer, which is the Kickstarter exclusive, which I'm going to add well, I'm going to add them all, so it doesn't matter. Has a brand new thing called an event mechanic where it affects things like walls and equipment is dropped in. So it's just adding each character expansion is adding in new mechanics, and I think that's really neat. It also adds in a 5th player, I believe. I think with the extra layer here. Let's go back up to the high tech tier. I know I saw that it can go up to 5 players somewhere. Each allows for an additional player and contains. Maybe it's not. Maybe they just mean additional players and additional character. We'll look. We'll see if it says anywhere else on the page that you can play with more people at the higher tech tier. Okay. This is something that's included in both tiers, I believe. Yep, the card and tile promo pack. This is why you should back it now instead of waiting until retail. This is something that's exclusive to the campaign. It's 8 new cards and 2 new tiles. I think they could have shown off like just a card and a tile to give you an idea of what those would be. Right now, it's very mysterious. It's the first day of the campaign. I think this might be something they open up later on as they go, and I think that's fine. Playthroughs and reviews. See some familiar faces here. Got Jesse and Alex and a few other people playing. I watched a big part of that video, and it looked like they were having a blast. It's good external verification. They've got a bunch of Rado. They've got some Wizards of the Coast. Wise Wizard. Nope, that's the company. Sorry, not Wizards of the Coast. And then their shipping section is huge and great. It's very informative. I think it's a little bit busy, but it's very important. Or it's very informative and has some big call-outs. Like, important, you'll be charged shipping separately after the Kickstarter concludes. This is really important for first-time backers. It's something that happens. What I love that they did is they broke it out EU, UK, and USA backers. These are the different tax situations they're going to have to talk about. So VAT in the EU, VAT in the UK, and then state tax in the USA. I think this is a great section. This is just a little busy to read. It could have been cleaned up a little bit, but I think it's great altogether. I think they did a wonderful job. So good job to them on doing that. Kickstarter exclusive. Here we go. This is talking about the cards, but then also that Dozer, that last character expansion that comes in the higher tech tier or the high tech tier. I think that this could be a little higher on the page, but this is really just selling you on why you should back now versus waiting for retail. So yeah. Meet the team. Special thanks to Marino Reno Lemons, the song creator. Reno brought all of his phenomenal talent to play in creating the Robot Quest Arena rap song. So yeah, definitely go take a look at that and listen to that in the main video at the top, because I think it was a custom creation just for the game. So looked pretty awesome. All right, cool. That is the page. I have not been paying attention to chat well enough. Poor Alex was bullied into the game on Quacklove's channel. Hilarious. Scarnople is, would you do an Ivy Games hoodie or a Veiled Fate giveaway? Definitely. We've been holding off on Veiled Fate giveaways just because we're waiting for them to deliver, because we want to be able to give away the giveaways and deliver them soon after the actual after the contest. One, so we don't have to remember to do it way down the line, but also so people have that immediate gratification of getting something. But we're getting closer to where we could start doing that soon, for sure. We still don't have hard deadlines on when we'll have those yet, just because COVID has messed up supply lines a lot. But yeah, we're getting close to be able to add in those in for giveaways. I think it'd be cool to see an Ivy backed episode of campaigns that already ended, like some that might have a late pledge option. Nice. Nice Radlands profile picture. Gotta love Radlands. Yeah, comment with some of those that you're interested in for sure, and we'll do it. Kettle looks cool. I agree. For each additional bot, you just add an extra spawn tile. Hey, Chuck, are you saying that you can play with more? The player count goes up as you buy expansions. Cool. Paul's confirming that as well. That's good to know. Additional spawn point tile. That means you can add another player. Cool. That's good to know. I'm glad they did that. That's definitely another reason why that $89 pledge tier is worth it, because it goes to a 7-player game theoretically then instead of 4. Cool. That is that page. I think they will break 100,000 today or tomorrow, and then who knows where we'll get to with the rest of the campaign. This could easily be 300,000 or 400,000 if they continue with marketing, or if they don't have the budget to continue with marketing and they're relying on influencers and stuff, they could still definitely get there. But I think it's definitely a worthwhile campaign to back. We're backing it and we're excited about it. I think this could easily become one of my intro deck builders. Right now, I use the Road to El Dorado, or the Quest for El Dorado, excuse me, as my intro deck builder. I really love that game. It's like a race. It's pretty easy to understand a race mechanic just because it's so obviously, yeah, it's just something that's in the world in general. It's not just board games. People understand it really easy. So you're only adding one new mechanic of a deck building game, and so that's why I love that game. But I think this could really easily replace that. So I like this game a lot. Excited to play it. All right, we're at 55 minutes. Scartapool Assassin wants this sweatshirt. If we had a bunch of them, I would totally do a giveaway for it. I'll ask Sam how many we have. I know we have enough for the employees, but I'm not sure how many we have. But that's something I can definitely look at giving away. I did want to open up a page that I wasn't going to cover a lot of because it was very different from anything else I've looked at. Spintronics. Did anyone look at this? Build mechanical circuits. It's at $770,000, which is so high considering I'm pretty sure it just launched and I had heard nothing about it before this. Paul Boswell has created 2 and backed 7. It's not like he has a huge company with a big following. It is just a really unique looking thing. It's like a mechanical game of building different pulley systems and stuff. Like, it says that it lets you experience electronics in a relatable way. It's a lot of plain text. This is probably the most plain text I've seen at the top of a page, especially for one doing above 700K right now. And so it's not the page or the game necessarily. It's got a very unique look, obviously. Like, this is very different than anything else I've ever seen in board games on Kickstarter. It's got 2 different acts, which I'm guessing is just different components that you can do things with. It looks like it's a puzzle game. Where you're just kind of you're trying to unlock certain things, do certain things by adding in all these different systems. Yeah, it's a very odd campaign from a it's interesting that this is listed under tabletop games to me. It's a puzzle, so I guess it's not odd. But it doesn't seem to be the same audience, and yet I'm compelled to back it, and I think it's really interesting. So very, very different than anything I've ever seen before. They've got like a whole like kids like learning tier educator starter pack. So it gives you like 6 act 1s and 6 act 2. I'm assuming it's for like a classroom. But yeah, really interesting. How to play sections, like a graphic novel or like a comic book. Yeah, it's really interesting. Check it out. I'm not going to cover it and tell you necessarily to back it or not back it. It's a simple page and it doesn't follow the same set standards for board games because it's very different. I don't think it should follow that as far as what the page looks like. But yeah, really interesting. I don't know. I haven't decided if we're going to back it yet or not. It doesn't quite fit in with Ivy's trying to do on Kickstarter. And it doesn't necessarily help us learn about how other board game companies are doing things, but it's interesting. Looks really cool. My son would probably like it and probably break it. That's one thing I'm worried about is replacement parts. I feel like they're going to have a lot of those, but yeah, it's interesting. Paul says it gives a physical representation to electricity, which can't be visualized easily for many people. Sebastian said, I did take a look at it. Great for my daughters, but found it to be too expensive. Yeah. Scartapole says, make me an IV employee so I can get a sweatshirt. I would say done, but Zach's watching, and I think he might take offense at me just hiring people on stream. Yeah. Very cool. Check it out. All right, guys, that is it for this week. I don't think I talked about a giveaway. I think I talked about how we're going to be doing 4 o'clock in the future. We're also going to be out of town next week. So the giveaway that we do today, we will not draw until 2 weeks from now on June. I'll look at the calendar. So we're not doing any shows next week. So won't be doing Ivy Backed, Ivy Played, or Ivy Games Weekly. And we'll be back on Tuesday, the 8th with Ivy Backed at 4 o'clock. So that'll be the next stream for this show. We are still doing Ivy Played tomorrow and Ivy Games Weekly on Friday. So yeah, stick around for those. We'll do a giveaway for a Kickstarter exclusive edition for Moonrakers. And I want to hear which of the robots is your favorite. So you're going to have to tell me whether whether Pug, Crate, Petrie, Strider, or who we got here. I need to see the rest of them. Jaws, Kettle, or Dozer are your favorite. And I have to see a reason why they're your favorite. It can't just be Dozer's my favorite. Like, definitely come up with a bigger reason than that for me. But I think, and this is just going on it, I think Jaws is my favorite. I really like the color scheme, and he's got a really cool model. He's got this like drill thing, maybe. I don't even know what this is, but I like it. So, all right, hit me with that in the comments. And next 2 weeks from now, on June 8th, we'll do a drawing for a Kickstarter exclusive edition of the game. And yeah, do not forget to let us know if you've won a game. Join the Discord. There's a link for that. There's a link for all the shows or all the Kickstarters that we covered today in the description of the show. So yeah, thanks guys for watching. And as always, would love to hear your feedback. If you have any other things you want to talk about, I'll be adding in the timestamps to this as soon as the video is done. And we'll see you in 2 weeks on Ivy Backed.